Hello and welcome to episode 99 of the Movies in a Podshell podcast, the podcast where we take a theme and we pick two films to fit that theme. And this week's theme is psychological horror. And this is the last spooky pod of the season. As always, I'm joined by Johnny Z. He's got 99 problems, but sense of humor ain't one. Hey, I just knew he wouldn't say that, but why would he? Because it's... Do you know, I was at work the other day and someone was like, oh, I've seen you've got a film podcast. I was like, oh, great. I was like, have you listened? They were like, oh, I just got this trending clip and it was about the guy you do the pod with is just say how vanilla you are.
Oh, no, out of all the clips.
Out of all the clips
that could have gone, I went, yeah. And then they're like, are you mates? So I was like, yeah, we're mates.
So was that oh, that's not good, is it? Like, that's probably like
I thought you'd enjoy that story. It just tickled me.
It's brilliant. Yeah, it's one of the naughtiest clips we've ever produced. So super important. At the top of the show, this is going to be quite weird because I've got John pulling half duty because quite lazy. I'm pulling double duty because I really care about the podcast. And so after this opening segment where I basically talk about what I've watched and John basically is the colour commentator for a bit. We're then going to switch over to a very special guest, which you'll know from the pod before, which is Kims.Horror.Escape. And we're going to be discussing Hereditary and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. But yeah, it's essentially like, all joking aside, John's super busy, so he just hasn't had the time. So yeah, it's going to be good fun. Obviously, at the start of the show, we have a pretty big announcement, John, don't we?
We do. So we have, I was about to say we've got a live episode. We haven't got a live episode, but we've got an event coming up at the Mockingbird Cinema. Jamie, give details. What are we doing? What are we watching?
So it nearly was a live show because that's what was suggested first, a 60-minute live podcast in between two films. What we've decided to do is we've decided to episode 100's coming up. We've got 3 episodes for episode 100, and it's basically a Hitchcock-a-thon, or I don't know what you would call it, but we have decided to put on a double bill of Hitchcock at the Mockingbird Cinema, and we're going to be playing Notorious from 1946 and Vertigo from 1958 back to back. This is happening on Saturday, the 29th of November. Doors are at 12. And if you'll be out by 5 p.m. on a Saturday. And so then what we're probably going to do is go for some drinks and stuff as well, which will be really fun. So I'm super excited about this, John. We're going to be doing a small intro, so it's not going to be too self-indulgent. So you're going to get 5 minutes off us. So if you are that arsed and you want to meet us in real life,
you said 5 minutes. That's a long time.
I've already got my opening line. It's going to be 5 minutes of untested stand-up. But no, it's going to be 5 minutes of us introducing the films, talking about why we love them, maybe give you a little bit of background with no spoilers. But yeah, like if we're hopefully going to be selling some t-shirts on the day as well. And just mostly the reason why we wanted to do this was because we love the Mockingbird. Yeah, it's a celebration for us.
I'm not going to lie. Initially, we were talking about hiring the cinema out just for Jamie and I to watch something, and I'm not actually joking. That was how this initially started. And then we were like, do you know what? Why don't we invite it out and see if anyone actually is bothered? And luckily for us, so far, it looks like people are. We have already sold some tickets.
Yeah, it's been live for, I don't know, like
24 hours,
56 hours.
Oh, okay.
And we've sold an all right amount of tickets so far, which considering it's early days, you know. So, but ultimately, like, we just didn't want to be too self-indulgent, which is hilarious. Like, we didn't want to be too self-indulgent, but we've hired out the cinema.
Yeah, but we were gonna hire it out for ourselves. At one point, Jamie literally was like, "Hire it out for yourself and watch Alien 3." I was like, "No," because like I would do that, but then when we talk about the films people wanted to see, I was like, "No one wants to come and watch this but me." Like, I'm fully aware. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Notorious. I've never seen on a big screen. Notorious, I've seen only, admittedly, on, like, you know what YouTube do, the streaming film platform, which is not my favorite, but I saw it a few years ago when I was in Australia, so it's a while ago now, actually 2017. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that on the big screen. And I've said on the pod before, and I will probably mention it on the day, but Vertigo, the first time I ever saw it was at the cinema with a film club over again in Australia, and it was one of my favorite cinema experiences because I had no idea what it was about, if I'd like it. I knew no backstory, didn't know it was particularly well reviewed or anything. I literally went in completely blind, and I would say it's one of my favourite films, and seen it probably I'm a serial rewatcher, probably seen it 6 or 7 times since then, but just love it, and I can't wait to see it at the big cinema. And also I'm wearing green, which is very relevant to plot in Vertigo. So
I'm wearing black. I'm wearing black because Notorious is black
and white.
So no, it's going to be super. I'm super excited for this. And yeah, it's really nice that we've got to this point where we're going to have 100 episodes, and I think that is genuinely a huge thing for me, a huge milestone. Like, and I'm just so, I was about to say, like, I don't want to say proud, but it's a lot of work. So I'm pleased for us.
There's so many people I speak to who talk about they started podcasts and then very quickly realized how much effort it was and then stopped. And to be fair, considering in between that, well, we started it during COVID when we had a lot more spare time, I would argue, both of us, in terms of
well, we started off weekly, didn't we? Which is hilarious. We started off weekly. Which is like, it's just not happened now. And now we're kind of lucky if we get one out every 2 weeks, really.
But in terms of like that, and then obviously I had a child in between, so we've had all sorts go on, and like Jamie's job got way, way bigger in terms of like, you do miles now, absolute miles a mile. Yeah. But anyway, it's all good stuff, and like genuinely, I like, sorry, self-congratulatory moment, but I am pretty chuffed the fact we have actually made it to 100 episodes. Admittedly, Jamie had to do about 6 or 7 of them when I was off at one point, but hey,
you said, through. Yeah, exactly. The show must go on, and at some point, like, when I'll never be off, unless I get like really ill. But
I remember you came on after one of the festivals you went to, one of the music festivals, and you sounded awful. It was a full husky voice episode.
Well, I have got something pretty cool here though, John.
Sorry, go on.
Look at this.
Show what you've got.
Dr. Pepper Cherry today.
It's not happening.
Got cherry Dr. Pepper.
100 episodes, and we've still not gained a sponsorship from anyone.
Well,
actually, we got offered 3, but the 3 that we got offered, that come to my mind, JB absolutely outright refused because they weren't on brand. Do you remember? I won't name them, but can you remember some of the offers we had?
No.
They were so random. We were like, no.
Well, the weirdest, so hold on. Yeah, the weirdest one, but our listeners will find it quite funny. The weirdest one was the T-shirts that was a magazine, like a magazine on a T-shirt.
That was like, we'd only done about 10 episodes at that point or something.
I think that was just someone trying. Like I don't really know,
pyramid scheme.
It was so weird that like that TV magazine that I paid £1,000 to. Right. Anyway, sorry, we're getting distracted. I'm gonna show you what I've been watching, but before I get into that, I'm gonna say what I've been watching because I've watched one thing. So Jamie, I'm gonna illuminate you. So since we last recorded, I am working for a sports team this season, which I'm really enjoying and really looking forward to the season. But we are currently in the part of the season where you do all the pre-coms media stuff for like every team. So like from the first team, junior teams, etc. So I'm working quite a lot of evenings. We're going to be filming a lot of training sessions and stuff like that, which is why I've had no time in the evening to watch anything because I'm editing in the day and filming in the evening. So, can you say what the sports team is?
Yeah, I can. So it's for Birmingham Panthers netball, which I filmed 2 games for them last season. And then this season, I'm doing all of their home games. And we've got some exciting stuff coming out. So if you keep looking at my Instagram at jcb.video, there we'll start trickling some stuff out. But yeah, it's we're doing like a kind of ticket commercial thing at the moment, which I'm really enjoying doing. Bit of a different flex to my usual more corporate work and stuff. So it's really nice.
Please excuse we're recording.
It's bonfire night, by the way. Jamie and I decided to do this. Well, this is the only night I could pick up with Jamie. So here we are. But anyway, last night when I got back from said shoot at Birmingham Panthers, I decided I needed to unwind as my footage unloaded. Unfortunately, as my footage unloaded on my computer's update, it decided that my hard drive wouldn't be recognised and ruined my evening. But after that, I decided to watch Dr. No. So I have been on a big Bond binge. This all started with Jamie mentioned something about, I think GoldenEye was on at the Mockingbird for a re-release and we couldn't go because the dates didn't work. We'd been out the night before. And then I went through and watched Tomorrow Never Dies, One Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, and the one I've forgotten, One Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, Tomorrow Never Dies, yeah. But I hadn't rewatched GoldenEye, but that's because I want to see the 4K of it because the Blu-ray's not great. Anyway, then I was like, I really want to read some vintage Bond. So I've read all the old Fleming books, but I've bought, I like, you know, the old school collection when they put them all in one book and it's like an absolute Bible.
Oh, yeah.
Massive.
Yeah.
I've bought one of those recently, so I feel like I might cherry pick some to go back to. Anyway, so the first film is really interesting because, one, it's the film that launched it all. It's from 1962, but what I love about it is the fact that it was made for under $1 million. And I read an entire book which was about that. Even at that time, that was insane. And it's about how they did things. Basically, a lot of not having filming permissions and just getting away with stuff and just filming and not worrying about it. Basically,
Love
was
that.
a lot of it. But also the allure of Bond films, I think, is harder to replicate now because it's post-war. People don't have lots of money. Like, food rationing is still a thing. Like, travel's just like very. This is when the books were written. Like, you know, travel's like a very far away thing. So like the Bond films were pure escapism, and like trying to get your mindset back to that era and then watching that again, I just really enjoy. I haven't invested in the 4Ks for this yet, Jamie, which I really want to. But I actually read some people moaning about Dr. No looking worse on the 4K because it was too soft. But anyway, yeah, I know.
That's surprising.
Commercial. But anyway, so
there's nothing worse than being too soft, is there?
So I watched it and I really enjoyed it. It's got the original mono track, or it's got the 5.1.
Right.
The 5.1.
Did you watch it on the mono?
I watched it on the 5.1, but it did absolutely nothing aside from the Bond theme had a bit of an arrangement, and there were like 2 airport scenes. And
I mean,
and that was it. It was like
a lot of the
times,
times
explosion at the end. It just felt a bit like
yeah. A lot of the times when you like upgrade it to 5.1, all it will do is play whatever's in the front 2 speakers to the 2 rears.
Like, yeah, I mean, I remember when they did. I'm sure Vertigo had like a new 5.1, and they just kind of pumped the score out the back rather than much else. But anyway, we'll find out. We're here at the cinema, the Mockingbird. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I do. It was really interesting thinking Connery's only 26 or whatever he is in this, because he looks so old.
Yeah,
like he's not.
Yeah,
but yeah, really, really good. And just interesting to me, the fact, as I said, made for under $1 million, and still the production design still looks amazing. Like, it's just a really interesting thing. And also, it was the first time this editing style was used, where they used jump cuts quite a lot, which now look quite jarring and a bit annoying. Yeah. But at the time, it was like, oh my God, the action's so like, how's that happened? And they kind of skip frames out to like speed action scenes up. And again, some of them now might look like mistakes, but at the time it was like a revolutionary editing style. It really grabbed people. And then I think that also mixed with having the James Bond theme, which is just one of the best pieces of music ever, and has been rearranged to death, and people love it. And it's great. It says here budget $1.1 million US, but I read a book saying it was $1 million.
Do you think that? Do you think that's more impressive, or do you think Upgrade being filmed for $4 million in 2018 was more impressive?
I mean, Upgrade's probably got a hell of a lot more special effects and stuff, so I would say Upgrade's probably the more impressive one.
Yeah.
Is
Upgrade better than Dr. No then? Probably. Anyway,
that's such a rogue question. No, I just the other thing is, there is a Connery Hitchcock which I really want to watch with you, and I've been banging on about for many years, which is Marnie. I really want to watch Marnie with you, because Connery's in it. And intriguing. And
I'm currently studying this bad boy, which is the Silent to Sound, the early works. It's got it's got 10 early works in it. I watched The Ring today, which was a silent film about a boxer, and it's got a book that I'm probably gonna read before.
What's the quality like on the films? As in,
well, I've only watched one so far, but surprisingly decent. So, yeah, I mean, obviously it's a 1927 film, so But so not. But do you know what's crazy though? He really doesn't care about runtime, does he? Because all of these silent films are like 2 hours long, and it's just, you know, when you look at when you look at like the Buster Keaton ones, they're like 80 minutes, you know, and it is. I'll be honest, it is. I'll save it for the first pod we did, but it's hard tough going. It is hard going. Like it's.
Also, are those the silent ones where they need like a piano accompaniment? Like, do they have the piano accompaniment?
Yeah, it's got the piano accompaniment.
Okay, fine.
And it was good enough. It's also got a brand new documentary on there as well, which I texted on today and said I'm gonna have to bring this box set around.
I'm gonna have to give some days next week, which we can try.
It's going to be integral to that first episode. So that's good. I'm glad you enjoyed Dr. No.
Sorry, yes. So what have you been watching?
Did I mention that I've been to see Chainsaw Man at the cinema?
No, but I've seen actually quite a few people post about this, more than I would have thought, and it made me think of like so many animation films of that like unique style recently. The obvious one being Into the Spider-Verse, K-pop Demon Hunters,
or Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is one of the Demon Slayer. So anime it's getting huge. Like honestly, like it's so good to see. I think I posted the other day about what the budget was. So the Chainsaw Man Reze arc, which is the one that I went to see, is 4.1 million budget, right? So 4.1 million budget for a 90-minute, or I think it's like 100 minutes. Reze. So let's have a look at Chainsaw Man Reze arc. What's it called? Box office. It's doing fantastically well. It's made at the moment, as of November the 2nd, it's grossed 140 million worldwide. And so Demon Slayer as well, that has done amazing numbers. And it's just, I love anime anyway, so like it's just exciting to see for me, because I'm like, this is great how it's getting more popular. But I mean, this film, I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. You cannot go in there and have a clue without watching the first season. Though the first season's only 12 episodes. I would highly recommend it. It's just basically about a boy who combines with a demon, and that demon is a demon of chainsaw.
I remember you talking about this when it was on
basically
Netflix
make chainsaws. Yeah. You can make chainsaws out of his hands and face and stuff. And this specific film is follows the Reze arc, which is there's a girl named Reze, and she's they kind of have this meet cute and with the main character, and it's a Denji, and it's really sweet, and then it's not really sweet, and it's very, very good, and I'd highly recommend it. The animation's just bonkers. I've watched a lot of like shite horror over this period, but I'll talk about some of it. Yeah, Children of the Corn 1, 2, and 3, baby. So I watched a film called Blood Rage, which has actually got an alternative name in America, I think, and it's called Nightmare at Shadow Woods. It's not very good. It's 1987. It's when I say it's not very good, like I was entertained. It's 82 minutes long, and it's basically about these two twins. That one of the twins, when they were kids, took an axe to a man's face and blame it on the other twin. And then as they grow up, like we see them in like their early 20s, and
that's like the Simpsons episode Treehouse of Horror.
Well, I don't know whether then maybe it's a riff off this. I can't imagine it would be a riff off this, because this is quite a big B movie. It was quite a B movie. Okay. But essentially, the wrong twin is put in mental institution, and the naughty twin is out and about, seeing girls, loving life. And yeah, it's just basically about the boy from the mental institution gets out, and then that's fair game for the bad one that's already been out to start killing people. So yeah, it's ridiculous. It was on par with something like The Mutilator. And I don't think anyone in the film had ever acted in anything before. That's what it felt like. And I also did the horror all-nighter that I do every year. And we did 4 films. We did all 4 films this year for the first time, because usually everyone's too tired by the last one. Hilarious, by the way. So I had my friend Mike and his wife over, and then Mike's brother was also over with his other half, and they're a lot younger, so they're about 21, 22. And so by the end of the film, there's a living room full of sleeping people, except me and my friend's brother's girlfriend, who's like, so I'm sitting here with a 21-year-old watching Inside, which was very funny in itself. So anyway, we started with Jennifer's Body. Body, 2009. We've obviously covered it on the pod. It's still a banger. We love Jennifer's Body. And then I did a film that I've not seen in a long time, which was From Dusk Till Dawn. And I used to have this on VHS. This is obviously written by Tarantino, directed by Robert Rodriguez. Yeah. And it's starring George Clooney. And what kind of occurred to me was that when I was watching it, George Clooney doesn't ever act like this in films. So it's quite a rare performance from him, where he's a badass, like he's a bad guy.
I was gonna say he's a bit of an asshole in it, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's awful. Like, I mean, there is some kind of redemption somewhere, but I mean, ultimately, like, what's his name's character? It's actually starring Quentin Tarantino. His character is horrible, and it's the joke of where like Quentin Tarantino literally wrote a scene where he and Salma Hayek, he wrote that scene. But it's got Harvey Keitel in it, Juliette Lewis. They're both really good. And it's obviously just it. The beauty of this, the reason why this was getting compared to Sinners a lot was because the film starts as something else and ends up as something completely different.
Which Psycho also did, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
of
people
course.
are always like, oh, Just Till Dawn. It's like, Psycho did do that. It was basically like, hey, here's this thriller about this woman who's stolen money.
Literally.
And then U-turn.
Yeah. So, I mean, this film, if for anyone that doesn't know, it's a film about like these two brothers that they're on the run from the police, and they basically kidnap a father and two kids, and they're trying to get smuggled into Mexico to go to a bar called the Titty Twister. And then from there, it just kind of escalates. It's very violent, as you'd expect from a Robert Rodriguez film anyway. And to be honest, Robert Rodriguez, I'd really recommend his mariachi trilogy. Like the middle film, Desperado, is unbelievable.
They're great, they are.
Yeah.
I've not watched those. I'd be up for watching it. I watched those. We watched all three for college, and I don't know in what context it was for. I'm trying to remember.
Could it maybe have been because El Mariachi, the first one, was made on an absolute shoestring budget.
And then
it was made for
nothing. The money. Maybe.
But Once Upon a Time in Mexico, I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen that. It's okay. It's just nothing on Desperado. Desperado is incredible. I always found it hilarious that Enrique Iglesias is in Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yes, that rings a bell. That does ring a bell.
So we watched that as well, which went down a storm as well. Also decided to watch one of John's favourites, Evil Dead from 2013, the remake. Generally, the vibe I go for on these, we call it an all-nighter, and then in brackets, kinda, because no one can stay up all night, and it also ruins the next day, so you don't want to do that. So I kind of just start at 6 p.m. and usually we didn't finish these films by nearly 3 o'clock in the morning. I was quite pissed actually by the end of it. But Evil Dead, brilliant. Like I generally like ramp it up as we go, and then the final film will always be like a real nasty one for anyone that's awake. Didn't know it was going to be me and a 21-year-old girl, because that's like I would not have chosen to play that for them. It was more so like playing it for, I don't know, for the lads. Like I was just expecting no one to really care at that point. The final film I put on was obviously Inside, which is the third time I've seen it now. Probably a good job most fell asleep. It's sickening. It's just about home invasion on a pregnant woman.
Yes.
It's got some of the most outrageous scenes ever. It's like French Extremity, isn't it? So less said about that the better. Then finally I watched the last one that's worth talking about. I watched The Long Walk. So that is the new Stephen King adaptation, directed by Francis Lawrence, who did Hunger Games. So do you know what's really funny? Started the film, Vicky, knowing nothing about this, was like, that's a bit like the Hunger Games. I was like, that's insane. I was like, it's the director of the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
So like that was like in the first 5 minutes. So it must have been the way it was, I don't know, like
presented,
the direction, and the presentation. This is a film. So people are raving about this, and I'll speak to Kim about this tomorrow actually, because we're splicing the pod into, as I said, dystopian future, alternative America, ruled by a totalitarian regime which we're told nothing about. 50 teenage boys take part in a deadly annual walking contest. And basically, if you don't keep up a minimum pace, you get 3 strikes essentially. On the third strike, you get shot. If you go out of bounds, you get shot. If you try and run away, you get shot. Until only one survivor remains, and they kind of get the prize, and they don't want for anything. The thing that I found difficult was, so I give it 3.5 stars. It's quite well made, and I wasn't bored. Like I found the camaraderie between them quite okay, but the thing that I didn't like was you just know nothing about the outside or what they're doing it for, really. Like you just know nothing, and I was like, well, it's just really paper thin. Actually, it's just on the surface, it's just people walking.
Yeah, but isn't it just trying to like the classic show don't tell? You just have your interpretation of it, because it might be really boring when you actually know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of like
less is more, right? Sometimes.
Midichlorians.
Yeah, Metachlorians, or in Alien explaining the engineer, or I still like Prometheus and Covenant, but point being, sometimes some questions are just they're not knowing answer makes things better sometimes. 2001: A Space Odyssey, etc.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
You wouldn't know. I don't know why I said that.
I wouldn't know.
But,
No, I've never seen it. Anyway, I got 99 podcast episode, and I wouldn't even know about 2001: Space Odyssey. And then a TV show. I've been watching The Studio on Apple TV.
Yeah, you've been raving.
Which is just like, it's superb television, and I'm just thoroughly enjoying what that has to offer. Every episode is almost self-contained. Watched 4 episodes now. They've got like a long take episode. They've got a noir episode, which is really cool. And it's just funny and ridiculous. The first episode's got Martin Scorsese in it, and that's like the premise. So the premise of the first episode is that he's getting like a massive budget to make a Kool-Aid movie, and so they're talking about getting. I can't remember the director's name, but there's a director that's done like some other things, and he's like, nah, I don't want to do this. I want to get someone like more of like highbrow. So they get Martin Scorsese to do the Kool-Aid movie, and it's funny because the premise that Martin Scorsese's basically underlying making this Kool-Aid movie about what's it about? It's something to do with some kind of killing. And so he's making a Kool-Aid movie like about some kind of like murder, which is just really funny. It's just stuff like that, but it's done really, really well. So it's like exceptional writing. So I'd highly recommend. And I've just been, the only other thing is I've been rewatching Bleach, which is an anime. And I've just finished the season 1 of Dan Da Dan, which is also an anime, which is brilliant. I would highly recommend that on Netflix. Very funny, very good. Dan Da Dan.
I envy your amount of time of being able to watch stuff in the past few weeks.
No kids. That's what it's about. And also, I'm not doing
just
what you're doing.
Not working evenings. That's the main thing.
Yeah, not working evenings. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it. So obviously, that's John. Anything else from you?
I'll see if we've got another episode before the cinema, haven't we?
Any message? Do you want like so what's going to happen
got another
now?
Episode before our live show? Yeah, we have.
We've got an episode before our live show. Yeah.
We have.
So I'm just so we're going to obviously switch over to Kim now, which is going to be quite the tonal whiplash for people. But have you anything you want to say to Kim? Any messages for her that I can give her tomorrow?
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Kim, for stepping up. There you go. I'm going to put thanks, Kim. I'm going to write that so I don't forget tomorrow to tell Kim that you said thanks. She was. Do you know what? She texted me.
I have already messaged her about.
She texted me last night saying, I was like, I'm really sorry. I was like, it's just going to be me. I was like, John's just doesn't have the time. And she was like, oh no. She's like, I was really looking forward to doing a pod with him. And I was like, oh, well.
But also, Kim's a massive netball fan, so she's very understanding.
She's like, if this is for netball, she's like, I don't mind. But anyway, John, any final words before I move on to Hereditary and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane with Kim?
Enjoy the pod.
And just like magic, here is Kim. John's turned into Kim. I'm probably sitting in a slightly different position with a different t-shirt on because I change my t-shirt every day. And we're recording on a second day. And so because John couldn't be asked doing the second half of the podcast or watching the films, because he knew Kim was coming on already, he decided to dip out. So, Kim, it's lovely to have you back on. How are you?
It's great to be back. It's been a very long time since I've been on and still not been on with John. So we'll live to do that another time, I guess.
It's weird, isn't it?
I know. Yeah. I don't know why. Maybe he doesn't like me, or because I always end up talking about horror, which he doesn't like. So I don't know.
You've met him in real life, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. And we talk and stuff, so I know he doesn't actually hate me. But we'll do it another time and something that won't scar him for life. So but no, I've been good. I've been well. Recently been on holiday. I passed my driving test. So
yes. Oh yeah, of course you did. Yeah, that's amazing news. Yeah, congratulations
it's been a good
on the driving
couple
test.
of months. Thank you very much. Which has just made things a lot easier since I've obviously not in Manchester for the last year and a half or whatever it's been. So I can now go and do things on my own.
How's it been? How's it been being away from Manchester? Do you miss it?
I miss it, but not for kind of like everyday life. I miss kind of the cinemas are much better. There's not much on the cinema we go to, so we're kind of stuck on what we can see, which is a bit of a shame. And then the kind of food options, restaurants and stuff is not the same, but I'm not really into the city centre life anymore. So
pretty close to London whenever you want to go, aren't you? So that's not so bad.
Yeah.
Not with well, I'm not going to give away your postcode or anything, but you know, I you couldn't walk there. What was I going to say? The you might have noticed I've upgraded my cherry Dr Pepper for a beer because Kim is also having a beer, so we're allowed.
Yeah,
we're loving life. What's your beer of choice?
Well, I just buy random ones from Sainsbury's when they do their like 4 for £3. So I have
Sainsbury's own today.
Northern Monk, which is 8%. So
holy moly!
On no dinner. So we'll see how I am at the end of this, but I'm sure
that's okay. That's wild. Cool. One thing, I'm just going to mark this clip. If you look at your, can you look at your? Have you got an icon at the bottom that says mic?
Yeah.
If you hover over it, what does it say? Hover over where it says mic.
It says a few things. What do you mean? Which?
So does it say which mic you're using?
Yeah.
And it says it's definitely selected the right mic.
Yeah, I had to change it when I
cool.
got in because I think one of them is my laptop and one of them is my headphones.
Okay, cool. I was just checking because sometimes it defaults to that for John as well. So just double checking. Cool. I'm just gonna ask you what you've been watching now. Cool.
Okay.
And so, Kim, what have you been watching? Anything fun during Halloween? Oh, you did mention you've been on holiday, so you did go on a fun Halloween themed holiday-ish, kind of.
Yeah, ish. We went to Salem for a few days and then to Boston for another week or so. For kind of Halloween autumn vibes. When we got there, it was 28 degrees and sunny, so that wasn't what we wanted, but it was still nice.
I'd have hated
Salem,
that.
Yeah, far too hot. We did kind of know, so we were prepared for it, luckily. But then we went straight to kind of stormy rain, 12 degrees. So we got it all. And Salem was fully decked out and Halloween decorations everywhere. It was great. So yeah, it was a really, really lovely holiday. We did go to cinema quite a lot, so it's probably the more interesting stuff I've seen lately has been there, kind of new releases and stuff. So we saw new release wise, we watched Roofman with Channing Tatum, which was
I really want to see this.
Really, really good. Same director as Blue Valentine and Place Beyond the Pines. Have you seen them?
Haven't seen either of them.
Okay.
But there's this. Yes, he always has what's his name in his films. The really good looking guy. Why can't Ryan Gosling? Has he always got Ryan Gosling in his film? Yeah, loves Ryan Gosling.
He's replaced one good-looking guy with another with Channing Tatum for this one.
Excellent.
That was really good. It was a really kind of nice Sunday afternoon film. Then we watched a little horror called Bone Lake. I don't know if you've heard about that one. I think it was at Fright Fest this year.
No. No one would go to Fright Fest with me, so I decided not to go. I was like, I can't walk with a straight face, walk around this festival alone because I'll look like a bit of a weirdo.
Oh, so. Well, I know you did ask me, so I am sorry that I couldn't come with you in the end.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, no at all. You're busy. You're what did you say you were doing? Rearranging your sock drawer. You said I've got far too.
I think I did my hair that weekend or something.
That's it, yeah.
Well, next year maybe. But yeah, Bone Lake was there, which was kind of. It wasn't the best film I'd ever seen, but it was good fun. It was similar setup to Barbarian, where two people turn up at the same kind of Airbnb. It was a very probably overly sexual film for some reason, which kind of was part of it, but it was a bit jarring at first. It was
Bone Lake, of
Bone
course.
Lake, yeah. So
yeah, what would you expect?
Yeah. So, but it was quite good fun. I thought it was going to be a bit more of a spooky, serious film, but it was a bit more kind of goofy and very over the top, kind of sexual for some reason.
Yeah, I might try. I'm not going to put it on my list because it's sexual. As soon as you said sexual, I was like, I'm going to put it on my list. Not because of that, just because it sounds interesting. I quite like a goofy film, Yeah,
it's quite self-aware. Like I said, not the best, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
You give it 3.5. That's not bad.
Yeah. And we also saw Him, which a lot of people didn't like.
Yes. Yeah.
But I gave that a 3.5 as well. I thought it was quite good. Again, it was, not the best, but it was very different, quite audacious, which I always like. So
yeah.
yeah, I can see why it's divisive. It's very in your face and over the top, but because it's sports as well. I like a sports film, sports and horror. Blend it together. Shouldn't work.
Yeah.
Kind of did. Probably didn't work for a lot of other people, but yeah, I'd recommend just to kind of see where you sit on it, and then
I might do, actually. I think you and I have got quite similar tastes. So the fact I only saw quite poor reviews for him, or very, very like, I think I've seen a lot of like 5 out of 10s, a lot of 4.5 out of 10s. So I'm like, do I have time to watch that? But the fact that you think it's good, I will probably actually check it out in that case, because that does sound interesting.
Yeah, I think if you have a vague idea of how American sports function, then you should appreciate at least what they're aiming for, even if you don't like it, because there's kind of a lot of themes in there, but the main one kind of is a big issue in American sports. So I think it's kind of, yeah, if you're into sports, you probably will enjoy it for what it is, maybe not be your favorite thing, but at the same time, I do get why a lot of people don't like it, but divisive film is always good anyway.
I'll be honest, the synopsis sounds insufferable. Like, after suffering a potentially career-ending brain trauma, Cameron Cade, hate that, receives. It's like almost the premise of a Marvel film. Like, Cameron Cade finds out he's got superhuman abilities to throw a football. Legendary 8-time championship quarterback and cultural megastar Isaiah White, hate that name as well. No offense to anyone that happens to be called that listens to this pod, it's very unlikely, offers to train Cam at Isaiah's isolated compound that he shares with his celebrity influencer wife. The premise sounds like I want to, it doesn't sound for me, but I will give it a go. It sounds insufferable.
The premise is kind of closer to things like Blink Twice and Opus, if you saw it, kind of that big prominent figure inviting people that aren't famous over. That's kind of more along the lines of it. So if you liked them, I don't know if you saw Opus or not though, but
I didn't see Opus either, because that was an A24, my favorite production company. Nope, my favorite distributor. They've had a few misses lately, like Death of Unicorn. That was they basically, at this moment in time, they're like, do you know what we should do? We should pivot towards a really good 5 out of 10. That feels like that's what they've done. And speaking of 5 out of 10s, we'll talk about one. Sure, I'm joking. We won't. No. Hereditary is not a 5 out of 10, but anyway, yeah. So you saw him, and I mean, they sound quite interesting, to be honest. You did see one last night, did you?
Yes, we did. We went to go see Shelby Oaks, which was a 5 out of 10. So not seen kind of the cream of the crop. I was kind of quietly, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I'd not seen the best reviews, but some people really liked it. Didn't know a lot about the guy who made it. Obviously you filled me in on his background as a YouTube critic or whatever it was, but yeah, it could have been, there's some films that are just pure 6-7 out of 10s and that's all they're aiming for, and that's fine. They're not trying to be the best thing ever. They don't do anything new. They're just a good time.
We love it. We love it. It
could have been that, but it didn't even get to that, which is what was disappointing. It had a basic idea that it couldn't even give simple answers to. So it just, it was a bit disappointing. There was a good moments in it. It started off as a kind of found footage mockumentary type thing. Didn't carry on with that. And then it just, it was a bit all over the place, really. So, disappointed with that one, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't know really anything about that, bar the guy that directed it. I mean, I'm happy to give anything a go. It doesn't really. I certainly don't think I'll be going to the cinema to see it. It looked like a bit of a, I said to you, Skinamarink style vibe. I mean, I'm sure there's probably more to it than Skinamarink, because
very different.
A man pouring cereal could be more.
I like Skinamarink more as well. So.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's hilarious. Yeah. Well. Cool. I mean, I've still not seen that, and I think it'll be a hard time to see it. Currently, I'm going through like Hitchcock silent movies, so.
Okay.
It doesn't get much more challenging than that in terms of like keep it, because I was saying to John, see, people already heard it probably 20 minutes ago. Hitchcock doesn't mind the long film, even back in the day, like when films were just generally shorter. He's still like silent film, but a boxer, 135 minutes and what? So I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, cool. This piano score is pretty. I feel like I could play it. But yeah. So anyway. The reason why I thought it would be a good idea to get you on the pod for this particular episode is because I'll I'm not going to say famously because like I'm not famous, but anyone who knows me knows that just like your other half, Kim, I really did not like Hereditary upon first watch, and I know that you love it, so I thought it'd be quite a good idea to get you on so we can chat about it. However, I don't think it's going to be quite as divisive as it was, because this was the second time I watched it, and I'm always more than happy to go into something and try and have an open mind, except when it's like under the skin. Try and have an open mind and see what all the fuss is about, you know? So I guess we're gonna talk about Hereditary from 2018, directed by Ari Aster.
Come on, Peter. It's just silly.
It's heartening to see so many strange new faces here today. I know my mom would be very touched and probably a little suspicious. My mother was a very secretive and private woman.
Kim, you were talking to me yesterday about this, or the day before, and you were saying you've seen this 6 or 7 times?
I think so. Rough estimate. I can't remember. It's multiple anyway. And I was going to say, I think the first time I watched it was in the cinema, and I remember just being like, what the hell's just happened? Everyone around me was saying how rubbish they thought it was. And then I just kept watching it over and over again, basically. So, yeah.
Because you wanted to convince yourself that it was good?
No. I really, really liked it. But I think it's one of them that definitely, as you know, because your second watch, you liked it more. It benefits from multiple watches. And I can see why, having watched it again, still seeing stuff that I've not seen before. Yeah.
So I guess my initial watch of this, and we'll talk about the premise in a second, but I guess my initial watch, I gave it 2.5 stars. And I am one of those people that rates films on mostly quality and obviously some enjoyment, because I think you have to have some kind of enjoyment to kind of rate things. There are obviously, I think I would say the majority of people rate things on enjoyment. And as you wisely once said, enjoyment does not equal quality. And that's absolutely true. And in this case, I would flip that and I would say quality sometimes doesn't equal enjoyment.
Yeah.
And so I think this time around, knowing what I was going into, I know it was a slow burn. I think a lot of the time when you go into a film and you end up really disliking it, or I don't know, it rubs you up the wrong way, it's because of the expectations you're going with in the beginning. So I was like, this is a 5-star banger. Everyone loves this. This is going to be amazing. I'm sitting down. I'm gonna fully enjoy this, like, because other 5-star bangers like The Exorcist and The Shining and Rosemary's Baby, I'm putting it in the same like box as those kind of I guess psychological horrors. And so when I watched this, I was like, I think I was pissed off at the end of it, because I was like, well, I really don't get it, and I feel like I need to have a degree in fact, what did I write at the time? I'll tell you what I wrote. Had to Google, this was in 2020, 7th of March 2020, had to Google what I had just watched, and I hate having to Google what I've just watched. How am I supposed to know about some random folklore? It's well clever if you know the background, but I'd imagine 90% didn't. And I just said I much, much preferred Midsommar. So I think this time around I enjoyed it way more. And I would say I probably would give it 3.5/4. Probably 4 stars is actually fair, I would say, because
okay, that's a big jump.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's because I knew what I was going into, and I think I wanted to understand it more. I want to like films. Like I am not one of those. I'm not a hater. Like I love having my Letterboxd rating arch is like definitely like it's like a little hump, but it's more. I'll give out a lot of 4 stars, you know. But Kim, can you tell me why? What is it you love about it so much?
I think because I first loved it just because I thought it was something different at the time. The first time I watched it, the ending threw me completely, and I was like, what the hell's just happened? But I thought, how often, especially during that period when it was all the kind of Conjuring movies and all that coming out, how often do we get films that are this big with someone like Toni Collette in, slow burn, really kind of unsettling, you know, 1 or 2 jump scares, but just kind of that, yeah, just a really unsettling feeling, which did remind me of those older horror films from things like The Exorcist and stuff. I don't think it's quite as good as that. I think it will be kind of a horror classic down the line, but in my opinion, it's not quite up there, but it just did feel like that. It felt different for the time it came out. So that's why I initially liked it. Watched it again, and then I was like, oh, I didn't see that before, and I didn't see that before. Started to make a bit more sense. And then just every time I've watched it, I keep noticing little things which basically I really enjoy, that he tells you exactly what's going on from the start, but you just don't see it unless you're really looking out for it. So yeah. I think that's really clever, and that's kind of why I get on my high horse about why people don't like it. Because I'm like, or if, you know, say you didn't understand it first, but like, he tells you throughout the whole film, and I'm glad that you've enjoyed it on a second go. And I think if you did watch it again, you'd still see more stuff that would kind of bring it together. And maybe you shouldn't have to watch a film a million times to understand it, but I like that you can enjoy it and still get more out of it as you go.
I guess that's the reason why films like Speed exist, you know, because you can watch it and it's like, listen, if the bus goes below 50, everyone dies. And I'm like, okay, cool. I could be watching this after having 9 pints and I'd still understand what's going on, you know. And I'm like, and it's actually a pretty good performance from Keanu Reeves for once. But you know, yeah, I understand that. I think that Ari Aster does tread the line. I'm gonna say often. Yeah, I would say often, having only seen 2 of his films, but knowing what the other 2 quite big films he's done do speak to people. He does tread the line between being clever and being wanky, in my opinion, because I'm like, sometimes like, and so does Robert Eggers, and I would say that out of those, because I think about those 2 a lot, and Jordan Peele, because it was those kind of 3 that were this new emergence. I say new emergence loosely, new emergence of like this elevated horror, or whatever you want to call it. But obviously Rosemary's Baby was doing that shit in the 70s as well. And we've got obviously Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, like, which is also a horror of sorts, and Psycho and stuff. So yes, you can go as far back as you want, but I'm just saying, for your average listener and your average Joe, I'm not going to often recommend those kinds of films to my friends when they want a horror film. I would recommend something like Barbarian probably before I'd recommend Hereditary, because I think you need probably to take baby steps into this style of film. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think you need to be patient with it. I think you need to be open to things being, I don't think it's the weirdest film ever made by any means, but I think you need to be used to or open just that little bit of kind of off kilter, not quite the usual, because it is more art house, but it isn't fully art house by any means. But I think that's when, like I said, when I saw it in the cinema, everyone around me was like, oh, that was awful, that was rubbish, it was boring. And I was like, I loved it. It's
so funny you say that.
Yeah.
I was listening to I was just doing a bit of research, and I did see Red Letter Media 7 years ago. They basically had just spoke about this film, and they were like, we've literally just spoke about this film. I love Red Letter Media, by the way. I think they're brilliant. Like, they're very funny, and very switched on. And they were saying like, I think I liked it. I think it's going to be a banger in the future, but it's definitely one of those films that it wins loads of awards at Sundance, and people are crying after watching it, and people are calling it a masterpiece, and it's a 5-star banger, and it's going to Cannes, and it's sweeping up on Cannes, and it's getting a 15-minute standing ovation. And when it plays in the cinemas, everyone's like, what is this bullshit? That was shite. And they said that's exactly what you've just said. And so that's really interesting that you say that, because I think it's true. Like with those, like with these types of films, it's not it's not for your casual audience, I would say. Like that, whereas you would see that like someone watching this, some random person that likes films but isn't like deep into it like we are, would probably rate I Know What You Did Last Summer remake higher than this, because it's like, that's what I want from a film: jump scares, gore, slasher. I don't want naked people summoning Paimon because I don't know who that Paimon. I don't know who that is, and that's how I felt the first time around. So maybe I've grown, Shall we talk about this? I don't really know if I should talk about. I'll talk about the synopsis. I'm going to do my best.
Okay.
Unless you feel like you're more equipped to. I'm just going to read. Okay, I'm just going to read the synopsis because I've tried to. I feel like I understand the film a lot more. I still don't feel like you said. I feel like I still need a few more watches to really get it. So this is a film about the Lee family, and no, it's not. No, it's not. The family of the Grahams. It's the Graham family, but it's the Lee family matriarch who is the mother of Toni Collette, and she essentially dies, and the family starts. Well, Toni Collette's character Annie starts to uncover just secrets about the heritage and the bloodline and kind of what her mum's been up to, and obviously they've got a daughter called Charlie who the grandmother was very close to, and Charlie is a little bit odd, and I can't really say in what way. She just is an awkward young girl. And you've got the father, and then you've got a brother called Peter. And so essentially they're coming to terms with the fact that the mother's died, the grandmother's died, and Charlie was super close to her and misses her. And then from there, we kind of see a family trying to get over this grief. And from that, it escalates higher and higher and higher. And we find out we are kind of drip fed small bits of information, some of which don't make sense on the first view, and I can attest to that, but do make sense. And as Kim said, there are things right from the beginning, clues from the beginning that is obvious. And kind of, do you know what I've just thought? What I really would have appreciated from this is if Christopher Nolan came along and was like, Ari, just give me 5 minutes. I'm going to do exactly what I did in The Prestige, and I'm going to just tell the audience who are thick as pig shit. I'm just going to show them all how it fits together and how the jigsaw fits together. And I reckon if they'd have done that for me, I'd have been like 5-star banger. That's like 100%. But instead, they go to an open casket and the grandmother's lying there with, it's got a little symbol on her neck, and then and shit like that. And so there's this symbol of this. Essentially, we're dealing with a cult here, and the cult has been orchestrating for years, it seems, to resurrect Paimon, who is one of the devil's sons, or whatever you want to call the devil's sons, and he is apparently mischievous, if I remember rightly, and also, is he the most agreeable? Anyway, I don't know. He's depicted as a kind of a female figure in some places, but he wants the body of a man, or he prefer the body of a man, and they're trying to make that happen. So get in me, Paimon, and so I don't have to work full time anymore. Could get some mischief. And is that right, Kim?
Yeah.
Do I get it now?
Yeah. Nail on the head.
Cool.
I think it's just when you realise how much has been orchestrated, and that's what I keep kind of seeing each time, or just even signs in the film that it was always going to happen. It wasn't this kind of surprise, but they just are so unaware that it's going on. And it's stupid that I only just noticed this watch. But that kind of cliche in high school films where the book that they're reading matches the story. So you have Easy A, and they're doing the Scarlet Letter, all that stuff, and they kind of talk. Yeah, there's always these high school films where they're reading a book and it matches the themes of what they're doing.
Yeah.
This has a scene exactly like that in this film, and because it's not a high school film, I didn't pay attention to it before. And it's basically the teacher asks a question about what the themes of, I can't remember what story they're reading now, but basically it was all about fate and these people being used as pawns. And is it more tragic that they have a choice in their fate, or they don't know what's coming, basically? And you realise that's the entire story of the film. And it's all been set in stone since before the kids were born, since Annie was born, before, all that her mum was putting this all in place this whole time. And I think that kind of just that extra little bit, it just keeps, adding to the layers there. So yeah, there's just so much in the dialogue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just thinking when you were talking about that, about fate and predetermined stuff, And it really reminded me of an ex-girlfriend I used to have who had it was when we first went to uni, and she used to talk about Paradise Lost, which I think Hereditary does have links to, which I hadn't. I've not read Paradise Lost because it's really hard to read. It's written in old style English where it's all mumbo jumbo, kind of, you have to be basically train yourself to read it and understand what it means. But it's all about Lucifer, the fall of Lucifer and stuff. And what you mentioned about fate, she was, my ex-girlfriend always just talk about how she didn't believe in free will. She thought that our life was ex-girlfriend, our life was predetermined. I'm like, I've got free will, you should watch this. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, you are right. That is interesting, because I think it might be a link to Paradise Lost potentially. Then, if it's not, listeners, I'm really sorry, but that's just, maybe it just kind of resonated with me just then. But yeah, no, there are lots of little clever bits like that, and I think that I am open to. I want to watch it again, and maybe it will go up even higher when I watch it again. But it's been quite an interesting time for me, going into this, and as I said earlier, I want to enjoy films. I hate the idea of wasting time. We know people that love to watch bad films and rate them 1 star and get joy out of shitting on films. And I just don't see the enjoyment in that whatsoever. So when I watch any film, I do want to enjoy it. So it upsets me when something I don't know, Under the Skin, that's rated so highly and people love it. I'm just this is just definitely not for me. And Hereditary, that was one of them. I was I just don't get it. And we've got a really good question actually. That it would, do you know what? It'll be probably good to go into it now. I did put it in the transcript. So yeah. What films have you disliked on first watch, but then grown to like on rewatch? So does anything come to mind for you, Kim?
There's nothing that I've hated and then liked. I think the first film that came to mind was Us by Jordan Peele. Yeah. And I think because Get Out was so good and there was so much in it and what it became famous for and its social commentary and all that stuff, I was expecting the same, and I didn't really get Us when I first watched it, and I was it just felt a bit flat at the end, and I was okay. But then when I watched it again, kind of being right, no expectations, I don't want to try and understand what the kind of meaning or themes of it are, and I enjoyed it so much more. And I I put it up, not quite as high as, because I really like Nope as well. Nope and Get Out I think are great.
Oh, you like Nope, do you?
Yeah, I don't think it
didn't work for me really.
Yeah, so I think Us was kind of it's still the lesser of his three, but I think it's up there. It's kind of the worst of a really good bunch, if that makes sense.
I quite like Us. I found there's some glaring plot holes in it, but overall thought it was it's pretty good overall. I didn't mind it at all.
The other one was probably Smile, which I know we spoke about kind of recently when you watched both of them, didn't you?
So I've not seen the second one yet, but the first one blew me away. I was so pleased that you said that you actually enjoyed it more on the second watch.
Yeah, I think when I first watched it, I thought it was fine. I didn't hate it at all, but I just kind of thought it was a bit derivative, and it was just the same. It felt the same as It Follows or The Ring or whatever. And I remember the trailer at the time just really bugged me because I kept seeing it. I didn't like it, thought it looked rubbish. So I think that kind of, affected my expectations of it or my view of it. But yeah, what came around to watching it again, enjoyed it a lot more. I do think the second one is a lot better, but I would happily watch it now and, at my own choice and enjoy it and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's probably those two. But then generally, I think as I've grown up, I've become more forgiving with films. So things that maybe when I was a teenager I thought were rubbish, I kind of see the fun in them now. I do enjoy watching films that are not in the sense you said where you're I want to watch films that everyone says are rubbish just so I can give a bad opinion. Yeah. But I will watch stuff that I know is maybe a bit schlocky, but is fun because it'll be, I've rewatched a lot of kind of noughties horror like House of Wax and things like that, and they're not the best films, but I really enjoy them. But I used to think they're not great back in the day. So that kind of thing, I'm definitely more forgiving in general, but nothing has swung me that much from.
You just know what you like, Kim. You know, you're not that. What's it called? You already know what you like. You're not. I'm trying to think of the word. What's the word I'm thinking of? Is never mind. Impressionable. That was the word. You're not that impressionable. You know that you're going to be swayed by other people. Like you have your review and that's it, and it might go up a little bit. So there's a couple. So John will be gutted. He's not here to hear this, but like Alien 3 is definitely one that I've grown to appreciate. Probably through John actually. Like when he's pointing out like just how good the cinematography is in the film, it's like it's got Fincher's fingerprints all over it. And whilst I mean, if you can call it the difference between the original and the assembly cut is drastic. Like the end is still a bit of, it doesn't really make any sense when they're running through this maze like of the prison. That's all a bit of a hodgepodge. But yeah, that's definitely one of them. Another one. So the biggest one for me, the first one that came to mind, which was huge for me, was and again similar thing to Hereditary. Really, I realized it's my expectation versus like what the film is. So if I had a different expectation, I'd be like, yeah, I enjoy that a lot more. But Assassination of Jesse James. So I don't think I finished it. The first time I watched it, I was like, this is so plodding and so slow. It's just really not working for me at all. And then so many people were like, no, seriously, it's amazing. Like you really need to give this another try. I was like, fine, yeah, I'll give it another go. And yeah, the second time around, but again, because I was expecting it to be slow and plodding, I think because my expectations were slightly different, I enjoyed it way more, and I guess I understood it. I got it way more. So that's another one that often comes to mind for me. I think there was a few films like on the opposite end of that spectrum, though. Films that I loved first time round, but then didn't age very well, like Jurassic Park: Lost World. Like, used to think that was unreal.
I agree.
I used to think it was absolutely unreal, and it's not. It's not unreal. It's
Jurassic Park 3 is better.
Jurassic Park 3 is superb. Yeah, I love superb. That's a bit strong word, but it's pretty good. Last Jedi as well. The Last Jedi. Oh, The Last Jedi is one where I thought it was good at the beginning, and it's actually I feel like it's got better, but I don't know whether it's got better because The Rise of Skywalker was so shit. So I don't know, but I think The Last Jedi is by far the best of that sequel trilogy. I don't know what you call them now, but yeah. So yeah, that was a good question. Enjoyed it. So I guess back to Hereditary then. So obviously we've got to talk about. I think so. I'm quite proud of myself for giving it a 2.5 star, considering like I hated it, because watching it, it's a very, very well made film, isn't it? The cinematography, like I noticed it's actually got a little bit in common with I've just watched The Shining, but in terms of the symmetry, like there's a lot of like symmetrical shots which I really liked. It's just the score it's got that like that constant score going on in the background, which is quite unsettling. And I'd probably just describe the film as more of a chiller than anything.
Yeah,
because I'm not jumping. Like I'm not going to jump. There is some like pretty scary scenes when she's in the corner of the room, like the corner just behind you there where the curtain is.
Don't don't do that.
When she's in the corner of the room when the light changes, like stuff that's really, really good. And I think that's the difference between these. Is it elevate? What does John call it? Does he call
horror?
I don't know, elevated horror. Now he calls it something else.
Yeah.
What did you call it? Sorry.
I thought you meant in difference to like what's its opposite.
Oh,
which
right.
I thought maybe popcorn horror, but
I'll think of it in a minute. But he's got a name for it, like that he kind of coined, which I just found quite amusing. But it's kind of the horror films without the jump scares. I think probably one of the most important parts of the film is Toni Collette.
Oh yeah, she's amazing in it. Should have been nominated, I think. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I think she's. I've not. So looking at the films that she's done, I probably haven't seen loads. No, I've not seen loads. Knives Out, I've seen Nightmare Alley, which I thought was pretty bad. The Way Back, which is a banger, and Fright Night remake, shite. Muriel's Wedding, Shaft with Samuel L. Jackson, which is...
I thought you were about to say Muriel's Wedding was shite then. I was like,
no, Muriel's Wedding's great. No, Muriel's Wedding's...
Stop right there.
Yeah, Muriel's Wedding's beautiful. Shaft, though, with Samuel L. Jackson. I can't even remember what she does in that. She's in it, apparently. Oh, have you not?
No.
Oh, it's... I would definitely recommend that as like a... It's Christian Bale. Christian Bale's in it, and he's like basically... I love to imagine films that are not any part of each other, but they're linked like by the same actors. So for example, like Dirty Dancing. I imagine Johnny in Dirty Dancing. I imagine have you seen Dirty Dancing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good-o. Brilliant. That's a 5-star. So Johnny's in Dirty Dancing, and he's after he's kind of like done all this shit with Baby, and he goes off into the distance, and he then becomes Dalton. He then becomes the bodyguard Dalton from Roadhouse. And I love to imagine how that's the same character. And so Shaft has Christian Bale in it. And I like to imagine that Christian Bale and his character in Shaft, which I can't remember, but he's essentially like this racist guy that like kills a man, and then Shaft is out to get him. But I like to imagine that him and his character from American Psycho are the same person, and different parts of their life, and that he's like spiraled after American Psycho, and this is his character. So I just like to link films like that weirdly. But yeah, Shaft is a banger. But yeah, sorry, Toni Collette should have been nominated. Absolutely. Like when you watch this film, the film is not even half. No, it is half as good, but it's not as good if her performance isn't the way it is. Like she really embodies the grief, and it must have been really difficult for her to go through that during the filming process, because I guess towards the middle of the film, much like on the last episode when we spoke about Shelley Duvall, like, and how difficult it was for her during that filming process, because the filming was about 320 days or something. But towards the last hour of The Shining, all she is doing is screaming, crying, throwing up, like running around that house and just, yeah. And so Toni Collette is the same in this, and she's an incredible performance. It's just, you really feel it. And I love every bit of it. Yeah, the husband as well. I think the husband
he's great.
He's brilliant, because he's actually a great husband, like he's a psychiatrist, isn't he? In the film,
I think so. I was just thinking, I don't know if they actually explicitly say what he does, but I get that vibe from him, or like professor or something.
Yeah, I mean, he's quite a supportive, loving husband, but you slowly see him kind of unravel, because he just can't kind of watch his wife go through this anymore. It upsets him to see her going sleeping in the treehouse. But I think that when you've analyzed the film and like kind of tried to understand it and got all the jigsaw pieces and put them together, it's very clever that Paimon is essentially inside Charlie, right?
Yeah, so she is him basically.
Yeah.
I think that noise will never be the same again after that film. But yeah, because I think the first kind of couple of times I watched it, I thought that Paimon just went into Charlie when we were watching the film, because you've got that shining light that kind of goes across the room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think there's a bit where Annie is saying that she kept Peter away from her mum for the whole time, but then when Charlie was born, she came straight in, and there's that creepy little dollhouse bit where her mum's got her breast out to breastfeed Charlie when she's a baby and stuff. So I think Charlie has been Paimon the whole time, and that's why she's a bit off. So yeah, and I can't remember what the original question was now. I've gone off.
It was just Charlie was Paimon the whole time. That was it. It was just
So yeah, I think she is for the whole time.
Yeah, to kind of like so I watched it with Vicky, who'd never seen it before, and isn't the I did promise her, I was like, look, this is, because I kind of said to her before we watched Smile, I was like, I don't think it's that scary. I was like, apparently there's not really many jump scares in it. And like, I jumped several times. I said, no, I know, I was like, I've seen Hereditary. It's not scary. It is not scary. It's more creepy. There's no jump scares. And she's all right if there's no jump scares. And so one of probably the most shocking part of the film that everyone talks about is when we've got Peter, who wants to go to a party because there's a girl there that he likes, and he's just a normal kid, has no bond with his mum because of said reasons earlier, wants to go to a party, but his mum really wants him to take Charlie with him just to get her out of the house because, you know, she doesn't have any friends, that kind of thing, and so they go to this party. We find out earlier on in the film that she's got a nut allergy. Peter, I guess you can't blame him, as probably a 17-year-old lad, wants to smoke weed and hang out with the girl that he really fancies. And so he's like, Charlie, come on, just go and have some chocolate cake. Go and have some chocolate cake. And obviously, yeah, there's a whole table of walnuts being chopped up to go this chocolate cake. And so, yeah, she eats the cake, blah, blah, blah. And by the next scene, he's rushing her to the hospital because she's having an anaphylactic shock. She opens the window for some fresh air, and lo and behold, he swerves the car. There is a pylon with a certain symbol on it, and literally decapitates his sister. And I think for the next 15 minutes of the film is very sad and uncomfortable. It really does drag you down with it. And Vicky's reaction to that decapitation scene was priceless. Just like that scene, and I think maybe it had been spoiled for me the first time I'd seen the film, so her knowing nothing, going in cold, it was great to see how effective it was. And she's like, she was just like, oh my god. And I was like, yeah, I was like, sorry about that.
Brutal. And then I think the bit immediately after is what got me the most when I first saw it, is when he's just sat there and he wants to look in the mirror, but he just can't do it. It quickly moves away. And I was like, that's exactly what I would be like in that situation. But it's horrible. And then, the bit after when he's in bed the day after, and his mom gets in the car and you just hear her like shriek, and it's just like, oh my God. It's like, if there was anything worse than cringe, I don't know what it would be, but yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah. The only complaint I have about that, so that's done all done brilliantly, like the grief that the mum goes through, like the shriek of like a mother, like finding that is like, yeah, bone chilling. But the issue I had around this part of the film was that there was no real exploration into Peter and why he could be in trouble with the police or the police. And I know that would have taken a police I'm not saying I want a police investigation. I would have liked something to kind of tell us why he's gotten away with it, or like, and he's not ultimately like I don't know if he'd be done for manslaughter or whatever, like, but essentially there's no talk of it. It's just that we just move on now and we continue watching the family go through this grief. What did you think about that?
I think it's just kind of one of those things that I think a lot more time passes than you think in the film, because it's marked by her project that she's doing for the art gallery. And it's like 3 months or something. Yeah.
Something
so I think
like that,
you just assume that it's been dealt with because it's not really necessary for the film. And I think, but then if you were to look at it from like I want to explain it way, you'd be like, okay, well, he hadn't actually smoked that much yet, so he probably they wouldn't have been able to test him because they didn't know till the day after anyway. And then he had to swerve away from an animal. She was leaning out the window when she shouldn't have been, and it was just one of those like freak accident type things, so he wouldn't have been, I don't know, or they didn't want to bring charges against their own son or something like that. But
get you down to be his lawyer, you know. You explained that one. No, and so I do agree. Like, I don't want it to turn into a police procedural for 20 minutes. Like, I don't need that. But I was like, I would have liked maybe something. But I understand. Like, I'm not going to be knocking any marks off it for that. But I just found that quite peculiar. Obviously, there is a really important character in this, played by Ann Dowd, who is Joan, the sneaky, slithery little snake. And Joan is she meets Joan at it's like an AA meeting, but not an AA meeting. It's for like it's a grief meeting, isn't it? To talk about, I don't know, grief, I guess. I didn't know, I don't really know these existed. Like, but essentially, yeah, Annie goes to this meeting, and she kind of talks about what's happened. And another incredible scene from Toni Collette, really, like when she just has this outburst and starts saying all these things that you feel like, and she has a couple of outbursts like this in the film, which I find quite interesting, and I don't know whether there's something more behind that, because she has a similar outburst towards her son Peter when she tells him that she wished she never had him, and she tried to do all that she could to not have him, but it didn't work. Essentially tried to get rid of the baby or whatever. But yeah, Anne Dowd is Joan, and we're like, oh, Joan's so nice. Like, everyone needs a friend like Joan. And yeah, and again, that's another really well executed character in the film. And so the more I'm speaking about it, the more I like it, 5 stars. What? That's it, innit? Like, I think the more I'm talking about it with you, I think, yeah, I'm starting to, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Can you believe it?
I'm so
Makes
glad.
for a way more boring pod, doesn't it? The pod's well boring now.
We needed a strong debate, but I think it's one of them. Like, I never want to push people to be like, oh, you should like this. If you don't like it, don't get it, or something like that. Like, it's not. But I think, I think there's so much to it. I find it hard. I can't believe it when people don't, and that's, no, I'm glad you do. And I think, yeah, Joan's character is, you think, like you say, she's the loveliest person ever. You all want a friend like her, and then it turns out she's just another person orchestrating it all in the background, and it's just this other revelation. And you could probably see it coming when she's like, oh, my mum used to do a doormat just like that for all of us back in the day.
Yeah.
Again, these little things kind of lit throughout, but yeah.
It's that's good. So there's a few like quite interesting bits. It was that, so they actually made a life-size set of the small models that Annie's making in the film, which I found quite interesting, because they wanted the set to be exactly like the house that she was kind of building in the film. So I really did enjoy that as well. And Toni Collette really talks about Ari Aster in a really positive way, and said that like she felt like he'd had the film shot and edited in his head before they'd even started, and she said she learned like quite a lot from the experience of working with him. So yeah, he's an interesting guy, isn't he? Like, and I think, I don't know why, but I always, in the same, I try to separate the two filmmakers, but it does remind me of Robert Eggers quite a bit in the style, and I think I slightly prefer I'd say I quite a lot prefer Robert Eggers. His films, like I do like Midsommar. I think it's good, but that was another film that I went to see with 2 other people that aren't that into it, and they both walked away and was like, that was shite, that was way too long, and it was just not very good. But another incredible performance from his lead actress. So yeah, no, is there anything else you want to talk about from this?
I was going to say, when you mentioned the sets and the models and stuff, I don't know if you noticed it. I don't know if it was just my eyes, but I felt like some of the shots, the establishing shots of the house in the forest, looked like models, and they weren't the actual house in the forest. Because I think a lot of the shots of the interior are done like straight on, so it looks like the front of a dollhouse or something. So it is like they are these little models, and they're being moved around like they're not their own people, kind of thing, going back to what I was saying earlier about the fate thing or whatever. But yeah, there was some shots, it was way above the tree line, looking down kind of the top of the house, and everything, it all looked like models. And I was wondering if that was real, like meant to be like that, or if they just couldn't get the shot, so they made it and tried to make it look like it was real. I don't know, but I'm leaning towards them being purposefully done that way. But
I mean, I think when everything's so deliberate, like everything else is so deliberate in the film, like you probably, if you're gonna, you may as well give them that, like it's like, I don't mind.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't, because everything else is so kind of meticulously done. But I thought it was a nice little touch anyway, because it kind of just looks a bit off, and you're like, why does that not look right? And it's like, oh, because it's meant to be like this. So yeah, it was nice little touch there.
Creepy ass film. Right, onto something a little bit more well, it's certainly not creepy, but the first time I watched it, and the first time you watched it, Kim?
Yeah.
Excellent. We're going to talk about Whatever Happened to Baby Jane from 1962, directed by Robert Aldrich.
Sister, sister, oh so fair, why is there blood all over your hair?
Whatever happened to Baby Jane? To seek the answer to that question, we will follow a man plotting a murder. Highly specialized work. But Robert Aldrich has considerable experience in such matters. He has a dozen successful pictures to his credit. His stars are Bette Davis and Joan Crawford. The scene: an Italianate villa in a once fashionable section of Los Angeles. Its halls, once crowded with the bright, the beautiful, and the celebrated, now echo only to hectic whispers.
This was, well, unexpectedly long for both of us, actually, because we both were on time constraints. By the way, thank you so much, because I've realised that, Kim coming on the pod, it's a lot of work, just coming on the pod and chatting about films, but the fact that you managed to cram it in. What did you watch instead? So you had to cram it in?
On Tuesday, I watched Hereditary when Tom wasn't here because I knew he doesn't like it, so didn't watch it. Mm-hmm. And then instead of watching Baby Jane, I watched Married at First Sight UK.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it's rubbish, but we like a bit of trash TV every now and again. I was like, I've got time after the cinema tomorrow. It's fine. I'll watch it then. And then I was like, oh, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. But
yeah,
I got it in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really a reality TV fan. Do you know what I did? I did actually quite. I got addicted to it one afternoon, and then I just was like, I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah.
X on the Beach.
Oh, I used to watch that all the time.
So good, isn't it?
It's the worst, but it's hilarious because they're also just people like that existing is just madness to me, but they're there, so I like to watch from afar.
They are. They're on the beach, and they are our exes. So Whatever Happened to Baby Jane? So this was it's a book adaptation from Henry Farrell. The film was made in 1962 by Robert Aldrich. Was supposed to be shot in color originally, but they felt like they would lose the bleakness and the creepiness of the film if it was in color, so they decided to keep it black and white. And I have to say, when I was thinking, I knew that going in, and when I was watching this, I was like, that is a very good choice to keep it black and white. Same goes for something like Psycho. Mm-hmm. It's better, and definitely better in black and white, because it just has that, I don't know, just that creepy nature. Because when you think of black and white films, you obviously think about that they're shot in a certain way and that they're old style, and you've got this old way of acting as well because of the microphones and stuff. But I felt like this was quite modern. This felt quite modern considering it was black and white. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I agree. I didn't know that they were meant to do it in colour, so that's a nice little interesting...
I'm all over it, Kim. I'm all over it.
But I think it definitely works. I think especially even just for the fact of Bette Davis's makeup in it, because she's so pale and then her lips and eye makeup is so dark, it makes her look terrifying.
Do you want a little fact about the makeup?
Okay, yeah, go on.
So Bette Davis basically was in charge of her own make. I mean, if Bette Davis and Joan Crawford are coming onto a film, you just just do what you want, He's an absolute legend. But yeah, Bette Davis basically wanted the makeup to look like, she felt like the character would have been a woman who wasn't the type to wash her face. And so she wanted the makeup to look like it was put on over the top of the makeup again and again and again each day. Almost like a feeling of dirtiness. And yeah, it's just a bit like a clown, to be honest. It's a Homer's makeup shotgun, it reminded me of. But yeah, so that's kind of so carry on, sorry.
I was just saying that just for that bit alone, really, that kind of works. And I think as well with the themes of the film, I guess, because they're both longing for these glory days, it makes sense that it's shot like it would have been back in the kind of 20s, 30s, 40s. So yeah, I think that's definitely a good choice. It would have been, I couldn't imagine it being in colour. Now you said it.
No. So I'll give you a quick synopsis on this. I mean, it's quite simple, really. So we've got two sisters. We've got Baby Jane, played by Bette Davis, and we've got Blanche, played by Joan Crawford. And so we kind of like start the film and we see Baby Jane, who's like an absolute like superstar. She's got her dad writes all the music for her to dance to, and they've got dolls made from Baby Jane. So she's like an absolute child star. And we've got Blanche, who is kind of overshadowed by her sister massively. And as the father passes away, Blanche isn't treated very well. And Blanche actually becomes a massive star. So there was written into a contract where they would both have to if one of them was going to be in a film, the other one had to be offered an acting role in a film. And it turns out that as Baby Jane got older or grew up, she was actually almost a one-trick pony, really, and that was all she was really capable of. Like, and she was this just fresh-faced young girl that was a huge star. And do you know what? It really reminded. We can talk a bit about like child stars being like destroyed by fame, you know, because Britney Spears came to mind straight away, like, and I was like, God, like it's so relevant. But it turns out Blanche, who was getting acting opportunities, turned out to be the real talented star of the show, and so kind of surpassed her sister. And then kind of like shortly after this, Blanche is in an accident. We believe the car was driven by Baby Jane, and it paralyzed her. And so then we find these two women who are, I guess, what's the nicest way of putting it? It reminded me a bit of Sunset Boulevard, in terms of how we've got these actresses or former stars, not necessarily so much Blanche, but Baby Jane, who is longing for her previous life where all eyes were on her and she was the star, and she's now, for want of like a nicer phrase to put it, what do they say? She's all washed up, you know, like, and that's the situation we're in. And we've got Blanche in a wheelchair being treated absolutely awfully by her sister, Baby Jane. And so that's how the story begins, and well, the middle of the story, and it kind of escalates from there, and what Baby Jane will do to kind of be nasty to her sister. Yeah, it was quite sad to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty appalling, isn't it? I think it's one of those films that if you don't watch it kind of when you first come across it or whatever, you hear about its legacy and how kind of iconic it is, and I always expect older films to just never go to places that films today would go, but they always do. Like, they're always darker than you expect. They're always more horrific than you expect. And I think, yeah,
for sure,
got heavy.
Because obviously you've got like Hays Code, which was introduced in the 1930s and until the 60s. It's all of these things are implied, aren't they? But sometimes you don't really need much more than implying, and that's why. Oh God, what did I watch the other night that I was like, I'm very much like one of those people where I'm like, a film's a film, you know, like it can be as brutal as it wants. And so like I on my little horror all nighter, I showed everyone Inside, which I spoke about earlier on the pod. Well, I spoke to John about it, so I do apologize, audience, because this will be the second time you're hearing it on the episode. Ended up just being me and my friend's brother's girlfriend, who is 21, sitting watching Inside at like 2 a.m. and it was a bit weird. I was like, why is it just me, the only one that's up? So for that I don't mind. But then I watched have you seen the last House on the Left remake?
Not the remake, no. I've seen the original.
Jesus Christ. So the remake is really good. Like you would like it actually, because it's so mean spirited. But there is a rape scene in that, and I was sitting there and I was like, nah, they could have implied this, and it just really didn't need to go on quite as long as it like the camera lingers, and it was almost like an irreversible type situation. I was like, and I was sitting there just feeling like gross, and you can sometimes imply like that it's not needed, you know, like same as the cannibal holocaust and when there's like real animals being killed and that kind of thing. Like, it's just like there is a line, and it's like sometimes the audience doesn't need to kind of see every single thing. And so this did a really good job of like being really violent. And like you say, the old films do a great job of like, implying it and still making you feel gross, and it can be a PG or a 12.
Yeah, and they're still as effective, like you say, I think. And I don't know if it's just something of getting older. I don't know if I'd watched this film 10, 15 years ago, I would have really enjoyed it as much, because I would have been like, oh, it's a bit boring or something like that. I don't know. But I think edgelord.
You're like, where's the gore? Where's the gore?
Probably. My taste has changed kind of.
So has mine, yeah.
Massively in that respect. Or I just think as I've gotten older, I just get more empathetic, and I find things more harrowing or scarier now than I ever did before. So I think, I did find some of it very uncomfortable to watch, and but at the same time, do you know what? When they get to the house and they are older and they're kind of the scene is set, I thought Bette Davis was hilarious as Baby Jane, because she's just such the antithesis of that kind of glamorous 30s, 40s actress. She's literally shuffling around, just dragging her feet along the floor. Obviously her makeup, as we've said, and then her clothes are kind of like half hanging off her, or just not very flattering.
It's the slippers, the slippers. She's like shuffling around in them.
I was
slippers.
like, oh, it was so good, and I thought that was quite funny. So it was like she's this, the setting her up as this character that's, not a negative person. Obviously she is in the end, but I think they managed to set her up as something's not right with her, but in a humorous way before it really goes dark. But I was having a little chuckle to myself at that, because I thought it was so well done, and it adds to kind of the camp value of the film, because it is a very camp film. But that was kind of one of my favorite bits about it.
I for me, like she is quite literally the star of the show. Joan Crawford's performance is brilliant as well. But the way Bette Davis, I was surprised at how mean it was for a 60s film. Like so it's like you've got her, Blanche is stuck upstairs basically, and cannot get downstairs. She's got a little bell or buzzer, and she's got a phone that she can use. And as the film goes on, Baby Jane, her actions kind of escalate further and further and further, and you're like, God, what is she going to do next? And before we know it, like, she's killed someone, and she's basically like tied a sister up to some kind of, like, I don't know, some kind of bondage contraption kind of thing, like, and her sister's like really not in a good place, like
her
feeding
hoist, you mean?
Hoist, is that what it is?
It's her hoist to get her out of bed.
That's not what I call them, Kim. We need to get the hoist fixed. We need to, so I didn't realize it was called a hoist. Whatever. So yeah, she's got a hoist. She's trapped.
Sorry.
She's tied up. I've never heard of that before, but I don't know what can
it's it's an accessibility thing for disabled people to get in and out of beds and chairs.
I'm disabled. Yeah. Okay. Well. Anyway, so yeah, she's got her tied up. She's not been feeding her. She's been kind of gaslighting her with what she's been bringing up to feed her, which is like, I don't know, her own bird, for example, which is horrendous. I was like, so the bird's flown out the window, and she doesn't give a shit. She's like, yeah, the bird, it's gone out the window, and then she just leaves. And I was like, that's not very nice. And then the next thing, you've got Blanche going to eat her lunch prepared by her sister, and it's the dead bird, which is just pretty sad, really. And it just gets worse and worse. And she rips the phone cord out, takes the bell away, sacks the help, that's the cleaner that's in the house that also is good friends with Blanche. And essentially we just find Baby Jane stealing all of Blanche's money, and she does have an alcohol problem, and that kind of contributes. That's kind of I think ultimately we see the effects that fame has had on this person, and she does have she is abusing substances like alcohol, and that was kind of the whole catalyst and reason why we're in this situation, because we find out right at the end, actually, that and we are spoiling the shit out of both of these films if you didn't already know, apologies in advance, but Blanche kind of says to her as she's on her deathbed on the beach, you weren't driving, by the way, because we for all these years Baby Jane thinks she was driving the car that paralyzed her sister, and she was drunk driving, and actually she was too drunk to drive, and it was Blanche that drove her home. And from that she got a spinal injury. And so, yeah, Baby Jane finds out right at the end of the film that it wasn't her. But by then she's already killed someone and, just completely abused another person. So yeah, that's quite interesting. But I guess, yeah, it really did remind me of like, Sunset Boulevard and kind of like the destructive nature of like what it means to be a child, to be someone in the spotlight and stuff. And I guess over the years we've seen, the likes of like Britney was the first person that came to mind really, because I would imagine if there was social media in the 1960s, Baby Jane would be doing exactly what Britney Spears does now, which is like, so it's a bit of a shame really. Like I have empathy for Britney Spears, like, because she might say I'm absolutely fine, but she doesn't look fine anyway. So that's kind of what it reminded me of. Like, and you see loads of child stars over the years, like, also like I guess Aaron Carter from Nick Carter's brother from the Backstreet Boys, like stuff like that. So, it's really horrible to see a downward spiral of like, someone that's was once had it all. But yeah, anything to say, Kim?
Yeah, so I was going to it kind of kick-started that theme of it, less so about the kind of child star element, but back in those days, female actresses never really got work after the age of like 40, 45 or something,
right?
Because they didn't have the roles, they weren't seen as desirable anymore or whatever. And this film was kind of the first film the first big film, I guess, to have two older female stars, although they were only in their 50s in this. They weren't that old. And it kick-started what is controversially known as Hag-Sploitation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a bit of a...
that was really fun to say in 2007, was it?
So there was quite a few films after that, after Baby Jane came out, that had the same sort of this older woman who was just mental, basically, angry and destructive and a mess. And I would say that maybe Blanche it balances it out, so I didn't feel nasty to me in that way, but it was the kind of first film to famously do that, and it's been a bit of I've seen it come up a lot in recent years. A lot of old people are terrifying, apparently, in a lot of modern horror films these days, and less just women. You get the male characters as well, but there's been a lot of it. And I was reading up on it last night, and Hereditary did come up. I don't really think it's a Hag-Sploitation film at all. But, not at all. But the one that did spring to mind was X, and I guess Pearl, even though she's younger in Pearl. But that kind of was the modern version of it. But yeah, so that I did find that it makes it hard to... I understand why the term's been made, but at the same time, it does feel like a really like mean-spirited term.
So like the thing is, it's like hag is not the definition of the word hag. It's just not a nice word anyway, is it? So when you are saying Hag-Sploitation, you're kind of like, you're describing an older woman as a hag, like, because she's an old hag now. And that is quite mean. So when we've done pods in the past with Anna Smith, who's like a feminist film critic and has her own podcast, and also Jane's mentioned it on several occasions that once you're past a certain age, women are pigeonholed into, and it is getting better, but it's still terrible, but women are pigeonholed into playing the mother or the grandmother or the like that kind of like that role, like in
witches, something like a witch.
Exactly.
I think horror is hard with horror because I feel like maybe back in the day, like probably from this film, maybe to like the 80s or 90s or so, they really lent into that kind of the old ladies scary or weird or whatever. Other genres, I think it's less of an issue because I think there's plenty of films coming out now, and I think a lot of actresses, like people like Reese Witherspoon and stuff, they have their production companies where they're doing female focused stories, so it's not following these kind of aged tropes, I guess is not the word I'm thinking of, but
no, it's just but it's that's I know exactly.
It's being it's slowly kind of phasing out. But I think horror, it's either not quite caught up or they haven't been self-aware enough to show that they've addressed it and are trying to flip it, maybe. Like, I don't know if
I think it's because
quite there yet.
Yeah, when you, I think on the flip side of like when a man gets older, they're
age
generally...
is like a fine wine. That's the term, isn't
George Clooney, like Paul Rudd, like, and it's funny that is. It's still so prevalent, isn't it? That you see it all the time where like men like Silver Fox, like as they get older, like they just get better with age, and women are oh god, what is it? I can't remember. You know, all these like I mean, sorry to get onto this, but you know, like those like crazy influencers that are like, women are past it at the age of like 22, kind of vibe, like.
It's definitely, I think, just in terms of general image, like body image of women, it's going back to kind of when we were kids kind of thing. I think the most kind of prevalent version of it was when the new I Know What You Did Last Summer came out, and Jennifer Love Hewitt was on the red carpet, and she's in her 40s now. She's not a teenager, and everyone was like, oh, she's really fat now, she looks horrible, she looks really old. And it's like, she's
super
had
hot
kids, and she's
like also super hot, by the way.
She looks amazing, and it's just like, if that was Freddie Prinze Jr., they'd be like, oh, Silver Fox, he looks great. And it's like, it's bizarre, and it's just so annoying. But yeah, it's still going on in just different ways. And
I do think it's this. I do think it is the what young men are being fed, though, in terms of like like what you can put on social media doesn't have a consequence. So like you can just go on Instagram and write a shitty comment to anyone, and there's zero consequences to it because no one's going to do anything. But also like when you've got like we have TikTok for the podcast, but honestly I just can't stomach using it because when I turn it on, I'm like, this is actual shite. But like when like young men are presented with like this like completely unrealistic look of women and stuff, like, and when, especially when it's all airbrushed and that as well, and we've got all these like flattering angles where it's like, that's when you see men like being like that girl's got she's got a bit of a hairy face. I'm like, you haven't seen a woman before. You haven't been near a woman before, like, because like women, like, it's just part of being a human being, you know, like so like all they're doing to me, all they're explaining to me is telling me like, I guess they're virgins anyway, virgins that just love Instagram. So yeah, but overall, look, what would you rate this? We'll get back onto the lighthearted stuff. What would you rate Whatever Happened to Baby Jane?
I gave it 4.5. I think
4.5 out of 10.
5 out of 5. Joking. I used to be out of 10 until I got letterboxed, and now I'm out of 5.
Hell yeah, yeah, me too.
I think it was just that little bit too long. I think it had been like a straight 2 hours or less. Probably
so I was thinking
now 5 stars.
Yeah, you know, when we'd spoken about it, and I was finishing it, I was like 1 hour 50, and I ain't gonna say a word. And I think 1 hour 50 would have been it just a little bit tighter.
Yeah,
for me.
No, I agree. I don't mind a long film if it justifies it, and I don't think it quite justified it. There was some bits I felt dragged on just a little bit, and there was some moments I almost agreed with Jane because they went on for too long with her buzzing that buzzer.
Yeah.
For like, I was like, I would throw that out.
Yeah, I'd have stowed her. I'd have tied her up and put her in the hoist as well.
But I think just some little things. There was a lot of kind of, just some scenes drawn out a bit too long. Could have shaved off a bit of time and it would have been more tight, but couldn't fault the rest of it. And knowing about the history of it all as well just brings it all together, I think. So yeah.
No, I really enjoyed it. It was great. It's funny because we've obviously just done Burnt Offerings, which Bette Davis was also in, and I've just had Through the Door today. Well, obviously I sent every time there's a sale on Blu-rays. I'll usually send the sale to Kim and other friend of the pod, Beck, and we'll just chat about how we can or can't afford the Blu-rays that we want. I
don't think I've bought anything. Every time you sent me one, I'm like, it's the wrong time. I can't
buy
anything.
Yeah. I've just been to Boston. I think I made money. But it's funny because I've just had All About Eve. with Bette Davis come through the door today, which is fun. And I would recommend if anyone's looking for any films by these two, Mildred Pierce with Joan Crawford is unbelievable. Like a 4.5 star total banger that holds up today. Really good noir. We're in Noirvember. Do it for you. Do it for the kids. Do it for your parents. Go and watch that.
That was one of the films that they were fighting for the lead role in, wasn't it? That was part of their feud.
So we actually didn't mention, but these two absolutely hate each other. So in real life, did not like each other at all, and just had a feud for many years. And it kind of, I kind of hope in an ideal, in my own little world that translates to film, you know.
Wow.
Translates to this film, sorry.
I did read a couple things, whether they're true or not. I think that's kind of one of the other things, is how much of it was speculation. But two of the things that kind of made me laugh, probably shouldn't, was that when there's a bit where Bette Davis is dragging Joan Crawford along, and when she did that, she like purposely did it more like physically to make it worse.
Love it.
But then Joan Crawford also made herself heavier when she did it.
Yeah, you know when you do that, when your friend tries to pick you up and you go dead.
Weight, or I don't know, she added extra weight onto her. But yeah, they were just doing these little things to each other just to piss each other off, basically, which I think is amazing. But maybe shouldn't be doing that on a film set. But I don't know. No. It worked. It made a great film, so you can't complain.
It did, yeah. And it was like I did. I only read one thing where Bette Davis was saying that she appreciated Joan Crawford because they were very similar in terms of like their drive to get the job done. And like I think she called her a survivor or something, and said that they were both survivors. So I think obviously they probably quietly respected, had like a lot of respect for each other. Massive stars. So
yeah,
but yeah. So shall we? We've got one more question left.
Okay.
Which we shall answer. So, what is your favourite subgenre of horror? Folk, slasher, psychological, erotic, and why? So
is it just out of those categories or any?
You can choose whatever category you want.
I mean, I don't really know why I asked that, because I don't know if I have a favorite. I do like certain things, but I watch, you know me, I watch everything horror.
Yeah,
so
you literally
kind of, I do like proper like gothic spooky stuff. I want more ghost stories, more things happening in castles and old houses and all that sort of thing.
Right.
More films like Nosferatu. I love that a lot. I like it when it feels kind of whimsical or otherworldly or whatever.
Like
but then
dreamlike.
Yeah, just something a bit I don't know, a bit fantasy or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
I do love psychological horror. I love really gory films, but yeah, I like them all. So it's hard to say, but if I were to choose one, it would be kind of supernatural, gothic stuff. So yeah, what about you?
Yeah. So I think we had a slightly similar question last time on the pod. Slightly similar. I think the highest quality usually comes from psychological horror, or that's, in fact, I'm talking shit, and I'm actually talking out my ass, so I'm just going to shut up, because I was like, yeah, psychological, I always think about like they're like the actual best quality, but then I'm like, no, actually, because you've got folk horror, which you've got like the again, wanky, the witch, like just call it the witch, like just, what are we doing, like what are we doing this? It was in that like that era where people were calling their band like Paris, but like it was PVRIS, so it's Purvis. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, anyway, so yeah, just let's pretend that letters are letters again, and call you Film the Witch, you know. So yeah, and then I was like, oh yeah, but slashers is probably like the lowest quality, and then I'm like, yeah, but you've got Scream and stuff like that, so there's also like really high quality slashers. They've all got their quality in terms of what I can sit down and watch on a regular basis and not get fatigued. Probably slashers. I love a slasher, and even no matter how shit it is, I watched Blood Rage the other day, which I mentioned earlier on in the pod when I was with John. Not good at all, but highly entertaining. I like good kills. But like Children of the Corn, you know, that's a slasher kind of folk horror-ish, and that's probably one of my new favorite franchises as well. Unreal.
I find that mad because I watched the first one and thought it was awful.
No, the first one is not as good as 2 and 3 in my opinion. Okay,
I'll have to give the rest a go.
The third one, Children of the Corn Go to New York. Hell yeah, man.
Is that actually what it is?
No, it's not what it's called, but it's like, what's it called? It's called Children of the Corn 3 Suburban. Hold on, Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn Take Manhattan.
yeah, basically, yeah. Well, so that's what I called it. That's what I said. It was like Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest.
Oh my god! Oh, and I definitely have to watch it then.
It's number 2 is it's a little bit like long in the tooth in some areas, but the franchise has some of the best kills I've ever seen. Like unreal, like just really good fun. Children of the Corn 3, I would say, is the best out of the first 3. I haven't seen 4 or 5. But you've got these 2 foster kids, little wankers, and one of them's growing. He's growing. So I was saying to John on the last pod, the film is way more about corn than I thought it would be. Like you're talking about the economics of corn, and like it's really funny. But so yeah, I would say that I think probably slashers are the ones I can watch the most. Mm-hmm. And folk horror, probably my least favorite, but I still got some I enjoy. Ghost stories, not that bothered, I guess. Quite like an anthology when it's good. Mm-hmm. What's Saw classed as? Thriller,
torture porn.
Mystery, torture porn.
I guess that's where it would fall in. Kind of gory.
I'd quite porn. So obviously when I was a little edgelord, I was like all up for like the Hostel films and like the Saw films, that kind of thing. And to a degree, like I do still quite like violence, but like you, I think I've just got more empathy as I've got older, and I probably don't like it as much. So like Hills Have Eyes, whatever that is, that's still up there. Like I love the Hills Have Eyes so much. Halloween, the Rob Zombie one, losing all credibility here. I think that's an absolute banger.
I haven't seen that since it came out.
It's so violent.
Yeah.
So
I didn't
violent.
expect it to be.
So
I think I still can watch like anything super gory or how violent it is, but I just react to it more. I never used to wince unless it was like, you know, I don't like teeth and like the Achilles heel thing, and like I don't never liked that. But
like
now,
pins in eyes and stuff like that. Like
can't cope with that. But now it's almost everything. I'm like, oh, like if there's a head explosion, I'm like, oh, never used to be like that. It's weird.
Yeah. I think that really I have quite a passion for all of it. Like I was sitting there watching like Freddy 5 or whatever it is, like Dream Warriors go to Subway, you know, like Freddy's claws in a 12-inch sandwich. Like I'll watch any old shite, like, and I'll find some joy out of it because I know it's like really schlocky. So erotic, I don't know what you mean by that. Erotic horror.
There's erotic thrillers, but I don't know what an erotic
horror, like
maybe Bone Lake,
Hellraiser. Yeah, Bone Lake, Hellraiser. That's all S&M. Weird, like, so I don't really know any erotic horror. No. So to be fair, there is a film called it used to be called The Imp, and I had it on VHS. Like, well, no, my nan had it on VHS. She was so naughty, and that was like essentially like a really erotic, like, what was it called? It's called Sorority Babes at the Slime Bowl-orama. That's what the American name of it is.
My nan had that.
My nan had it, yeah. But it was called The Imp. So I think she thought it was called The Imp because it was. She didn't realise the American name. And it's out on Blu-ray, actually. You can get it from somewhere. I don't have it. But yeah, that I remember that was like very like, you know, those like proper like raunchy, like 80s kind of like slasher, but it's a lot of like women running around scantily clad like that. I think maybe that's what he means. That's his favourite. But yeah, so probably my favorite. I like it all.
I think different moods call for different things. So
exactly.
I don't think there's anything I don't like. I'm gonna say a good slasher recommendation for you, or it's kind of slasher, bit of giallo. Amsterdamned. Have you seen that?
No. Damned. Is it Damned? DAMN.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, of course.
It's so good. It's like 80s. Yeah, it's got a bit of kind of Italian giallo style in it, but it's
I'm on it.
Cop in Amsterdam. There's got the opening kill is one of my favourite kills I've seen. It's so good.
Okay, I'm on it.
It's on Prime.
It's on Prime. Oh,
I think it's on Prime.
Man. Do you know what? How much do you love Jeff Bezos, Kim? We and John talk about Jeff all the time, and you know, he's transformed shopping. He destroyed the high streets. He's got the best music streaming service with the highest quality, and he's also, it's the best value, you know. And obviously, when you're like the second richest man in the entire world, you can afford to dish out value, and that's what Jeffrey's doing. Yeah. So, I would say he's probably my favorite billionaire.
If you kind of have one, yeah.
Do you have a favorite billionaire, Kim?
No.
I jokingly, I was asking everyone this the other day who their favorite. I was obviously joking, but who their favorite billionaire is, because when you think about who the best billionaires are, do you know the best answer, the most noble answer, was obviously Bill Gates.
Yeah,
because he's genuinely, like, I think Bill Gates is quite a decent man, like, as in has given a lot of his money away to charity. I mean, he's still a billionaire, you know, like, it's no big deal. But yeah, anyway, Jeff Bezos, man. Amazon Prime, not sponsored. Doesn't sponsor this pod, but
it's not War of the Worlds.
Do you know? I never know whether people would think I was being deadly serious or not. I've got no idea, and no one will ever know. So yeah, and this is actually a Jeff Bezos Amazon T-shirt inside out. So it's on Prime. So yeah, Amsterdam. Yeah. That's on Prime. You'll hear about that in the next pod. The next pod we're doing is going to be part we've copped out really, but we don't care. Episode 100, part 1. It's going to be Hitchcock's. We're going to talk about Silence to Talkies. So I've started watching Hitchcock silent films now. It's here on the old Hitchcock silent box set. Could have done with an editor back in the 1920s, but never mind. What about you, Kim? What have you got? Anything? You don't pod as much anymore, do you?
I say as much. This is the first podcast I've done in nearly 2 years.
Oh, so... God. We've got to get you on more often, because actually it does spark some like really good conversation as well, because you bring a completely different perspective. So I will come back whenever you want me. So
I'm
going to invite you more often.
It's always a pleasure. Okay.
Yeah. Depending on audience feedback.
Yeah, they will hate me. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not at Gasp Festival anymore, but that's still going in Manchester, which is still going strong. I did have podcast ages ago. That stopped ages ago now. But you can still follow me on Instagram. I'm now Kims.Horror.Escape, not Cinema.Escape. And I guess the only thing that I'm doing kind of film-wise, which can have any sort of interest, is that this year I've been trying to watch 100 new horror films that I've never seen before, not including new releases. So I've been watching loads of stuff that I either wouldn't normally or have missed. Amsterdam was one of those films, which I ended up really enjoying. So yeah, if you want to follow along with that, you can. But otherwise, I'm not really doing a lot. It's just coming up to Christmas now. So yeah, film watching, Christmas shopping, that's me done.
Kim is the place to go if you're liking horror and you don't know what to watch, because you often do find, like we said in the pod ages ago when you've been on, that it's really weird because you and I we are similar ages, aren't we?
Yeah, you're only a couple of years older than me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm only a couple of years older than Kim. But the films that she's seen versus the films that I've seen are just so different. Like, it's like she's seen, like, in her top 100 films, there was like loads of films in there that I was like, haven't heard of that, not seen that.
It was a running joke, wasn't it? Everyone you like
crazy.
Add to the list.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, because I'm sitting there probably rewatching Rumble in the Bronx with Jackie Chan again, and Kim's watching Elephant, and I'm like, what's Elephant? You know, is a Disney film? It's not. Spoiler, it's not.
It definitely is not.
So yeah, yeah. Well, have you know your top 100 horror films? Have you seen one for you maybe? Have you ever seen Maniac Cop?
I have not. It was, so when I first started doing this year, I made the list beforehand.
Okay, fine.
And that was on there, but then I really struggled to keep up with it because I was like, I don't want to watch any of them. So I've now got rid of the kind of prescribed list now. I'm just watching other things. But it is one that's on my radar and probably will be watched before the end of the year. So,
well, guess who's streaming it?
Amazon Prime.
But who? Jeff picked it. Jeff picked it himself. You know, everything on Amazon Prime is handpicked by Jeff himself. But yeah, it's on Amazon Prime.
Films.
Yeah, Maniac Cop, 85 minutes. It's you'll have a good laugh. It's schlocky, but good fun.
Yeah.
So obviously the next you'll hear from us is episode 100 part 1. I'm pretty sure we should have a guest on that. But you're just going to have to wait, and because I can't say, because if he doesn't come on, then the egg in my face are going to be in perfect alignment. And the amount of times we've had people coming on the pod that don't end up coming on because something happens, probably about 7 times. So yeah, anyway, you can go on moviesinapodshell.sumupstore.com and you can buy yourself a t-shirt. It is pre-shrunk cotton, responsibly sourced. So, you know, when you put it in the washing machine, it comes out exactly the same. It's not one of those Primani babies where you pop it in the washing machine and it's, oh, I bought a large and it's now an extra small. And the collar looks like this. It's not one of those. It's quality guaranteed by Movies in a Pod Show. So there,
I can second that because I have both of your t-shirts.
She's got both the t-shirts. Bloody hell.
So does Tom. We don't wear them at the same time because can't do that. But we can concur. They're very lovely t-shirts.
Yeah, there you go. I wasn't even asking for an endorsement, but I completely slipped my mind. But anyway, yeah, you can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, really. Spotify, Apple, Amazon. You know where it's at. We are obviously, I mentioned at the beginning of the pod, we've got an event coming up on the 29th of November. It starts at 12 o'clock. You'll be out by 5, ready for dinner or beers, whichever you want to do. That's at the Mockingbird Cinema. It's £12 a ticket to go and see Notorious and Vertigo back to back with a small little introduction from me and John, which, I'm sure that'll be riveting for the people that aren't there to see our introduction. But for the people that are, you know, don't know what to say. Kim, anything more from you?
Nothing more from me. I think I plugged my Instagram. That's all I've got. So thank you very much for having me. That's all I've got. Got nothing to promote, but thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, and I will come back on whenever you want me. So
it's always a good laugh, and you're always very welcome, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, and thank you for whoever was written in. We've got we had a couple of questions tonight, so that's great, and hopefully this is not too much of a tonal whiplash for you, and if it is, go and blame John, you know. But I think it's a nice little difference in perspective for once. Anyway, so I asked John before he left yesterday, did he have any messages for you, Kim? And as boring as John is, sorry, I don't mean to say he's boring. He's not boring. He's really good fun. But, you know, you can imagine what he said, and it was quite simply, thank you, Kim. And that was it. And that's how he said it. So, yeah. Do you have any messages for John?
You're welcome, John.
Brilliant. Right. Say goodbye, Kim.
Goodbye. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. See ya.